Hey folks, good evening. Another installment on the Red Book of Magic. End spells. Part 1 of 2. I will remember this time. Okay. Madness. Old spell. Overcome the target's power. They suffer the effects of the madness effects table. The severity of the result in reference to the madness effects table depends on the degree of success of the caster's attack. Is that attack the rune that they roll against for the casting the spell, or is it the power versus power roll that they had to make to overcome their power and have the effect? I can see that going either way. I just don't. I don't know. Once the spell has been cast, its effects cannot be dispelled. Okay, Madness effects table, right? You got a critical success on this attack roll, target goes insane. If you get a special success on your attack roll, the target goes into a rage. If you get a normal success on your attack roll, the victim becomes catatonic. If you fail in your attack roll, the target is confused. And if you fumble your attack roll, the target is unaffected. Okay, so the target experiences insanity. It says here, when an adventurer experiences insanity. Does it mean that monsters cannot experience insanity? Do we not play Lunar, guys? Their madness is all-encompassing, either incapacitating them or rendering them a danger to themselves and others. Even after the insanity recedes, the adventurer, or target, retains traces of it. You know, GM can even give the victim, oh, here we have victim now, instead of adventurer, a new negative passion as appropriate. Okay, the insanity roll a d6. You get amnesia, elemental feared, pantophobia, that's a fear of everything, paranoia, stupefaction, or unlimited semiosis, which is being mentally lost. Okay, those all work. Okay, magic point enchantment. While it's a common rune spell and the other common rune spells specified they were common rune spells, this one does not specify that it's a common rune spell. But it's an R, so we know what it is. Okay, for each point of power you sacrifice to the spell, allows an enchanted item to store 1d10 magic points. You determine that when the spell is complete. The ritual takes an hour per point of power sacrificed. Good to go. The stored magic points can power or boost spells by anyone who can use the item. Does that mean you have to be a farmer to use a plow that's got magic points in it? I mean, we're not playing D&D where clerics can't use swords. I don't know anything that anybody cannot not use. Yeah, I don't like that verbiage. Magic points stored in enchanted items do not regenerate on their own. They have no characteristic power, which has really got me on power crystals. Well, maybe they actually do have power. Although the powered crystals that regenerate specify that they regenerate. Yeah, so I got some conflicts there. I have to figure that out still. Okay, so you can refill the magic points, right? Sacrifice your magic points into the item and up to its maximum capacity. It takes 1 melee round per magic point stored. And it cannot store more than it can hold. Okay, Magnify Command, old spell. This spell must be stacked, but it's a non-stackable spell. Its range, duration is special, non-stackable. I think what they mean here is this spell must be cast simultaneously with a command specific sea creature spell. That's what I think they mean, but they're using the stacked word. And words mean things, so that can be confusing. Okay. Should also say that, what's the word? I forgot it already. Shoot. as an exception to the rule. It's only one rune spell can be cast per melee round. That should also be in here. Okay. The magnified command spell must be cast simultaneously with and boosted. So it must be boosted with magic points. The magic points don't need to come from the caster. The duration of the stacked, we mean magnified spell, right, is increased by 1 hour per magic point spent after other effects. Because this is in addition to extension. Every other spell we've had up until now that had a special duration where the duration was based upon magic points or rune points sacrificed were specifically exempt from the extension spell. Why is this one different? I'll give you a nice little example here. If you got 20 magic points pushed into the magnifying command spell and 2 points of extension, you've got 24 hours from the extension plus 20 hours from the magic points. I don't know. I don't like that at all. The inconsistency bothers me. I'm concerned. The inconsistency bothers me. Okay. Matrix creation. We're talking about a spell matrix creation. Although, are there other matrix creations? Maybe not. We do call it magic point matrix sometimes myself. Okay. This spell, this common spell, is used to store the potentiality of a spirit magic or rune spell. Shouldn't there be a rune magic spell? In an item. Anyone who can use, there's that use word again. The item gains the ability to use the spell whenever they are in physical contact with the item. Notice, physical contact with the item is not required for the magic point matrix, magic point enchantment. Though you do lose the potentiality of casting a spell if you are no longer in contact with the item. Okay. To create the matrix, the caster must be able to cast the spell, the one you're putting in the matrix, right? And sacrifice power points equal to the magic points or rune points needed to cast a spell. Aren't rune points twice as powerful as spirit magic points? Some kind of dichotomy going on here. That for mechanical simplicity, got it, not a problem. But I think there's a power dynamic here that's getting skewed. Okay. Notice that does not say that the ritual takes an hour per sacrifice point of power like the magic point enchantment did. Another GM concern of consistency. Okay. Okay. The caster does not have to sacrifice all of the power at once. You can essentially cast this spell, over weeks or even seasons, until you get to the full power sacrifice that you're going for on the spell, right? But the matrix isn't finished until you complete the casting, right? Each addition of power, or each additional sacrifice of a point of power, requires a separate casting of the spell. So as you try to boost it up, you got to keep casting your spell. Rune spells, common rune spells, are not that hard to cast, right? The caster can also strengthen a completed matrix with later sacrifices of power, effectively creating a matrix for a stacked spell. That's cool. Why is that? That verbiage should also apply to the magic point enchantment. You put one magic point into it, it's got its things. Later on, put another put 1 point of power into your magic point enchantment. Next season, put another point of power into it. Next season, put another power into it. So it's addition things separate from, I'm going to make a 5-point spell, but I'm going to take 5 seasons to do it. That's interesting. Okay. They also say that this adjustment requires an additional casting of, get this, the Matrix Creation spell, which is on page 64. Lo and behold, we're on page 64 reading the Matrix Creation spell. How about this adjustment requires an additional casting of the spell? Well, maybe it's trying to specify between the spell you're making the Matrix for and the Matrix Creation spell. Yeah, but you don't need to reference the page number. We've got it right here. But doesn't it also require a casting of the spell you're putting into the Matrix? I would assume so. Try to put it in there. Okay. The user of a rune spell, rune magic spell, right? Has a chance of casting that spell in the create matrix equal to their power times 5. Now I can see, for simplicity of mechanics, not everybody has the rune required to cast that spell. In my Glorantha, you need to have that rune to cast that spell. Sorry, that's the way I do it. Now, common rune spells, any rune, right? But if you want to cast Shield from Orlanth, so there's an Orlanthy version, if you will, of Shield, right? Mobility or air. If all you got is earth and fire and darkness, you're SOL. Okay. Casting a rune spell from Matrix does not only require the expenditure of magic points or rune points. Obviously, if it takes magic points to boost or extend or whatever, you gotta give those points up. But for rune points, and I agree completely with this, when I make matrices for rune magic spells in my Glorantha, there are so many rune points in it, right? Example, the party was given access to a shield that had shield 5 in it. It's because I was rolling the wrong dice. So there's 5 rune points of shield in the matrix. So you can cast a 1-point shield 5 times or a 5-point shield once. Then it's got to go back to the temple, go through the worship service to get regenerated. Speaking of the worship service get regenerated, once used, the user must take the item back to a proper temple, to be recharged with a successful worship ceremony. Is it your worship ceremony? What if you don't have worship Orlanth and it's that Orlanthy shield spell? Or just have some priest do it for you? I don't know. Maybe. I had a question about stacking here. Oh, that was my reference to that shield spell, 5 points. Okay. The user of a spirit magic spell matrix, notice we do say magic spell matrix, is power times 5, which is what it is normally, right? But you also need to expend that magic point or points necessary to cast the spell. Good to go. No issues there. End of this discussion. Happy gaming.